Hi, I'm Amy Harbison. Welcome to Seniors Today, a monthly program produced by the Commission on Aging. I'm talking with Micki Gordon, Assistant CEO for the Jewish Council for the Aging, about how they've adapted their employment services during COVID-19 and the employment resources available to 50-plus job seekers. Hi, Micki, how are you?
Good. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Our pleasure.
You have been known each year in the 50-plus market as doing these wonderful expos, and COVID struck and you had to adapt. So tell us what you've been doing while COVID's been with us.
Well, you're absolutely right. And thanks to Montgomery County, we were able to transition to virtual 50-plus employment expos. And instead of just doing one, which was always very well received in the spring, usually during May, we are doing one a month. And these are all virtual. And I know that you're going to be putting the link online so that people can see the web address. But we had our first one November 17th. We had 892 people who registered. We had 2 workshops, which are on the link on the website that people can download. We list all of the employers and the community resources, and we will be ongoing. So as we do each month, we won't be taking anyone off. We leave it all up there so that anyone who may not have been able to attend or for whatever reason missed something will always have these resources. The next one is December 15th, and we will have 2 different new workshops. One on LinkedIn, a beginner's guide to LinkedIn, and the other one is going to help you with resources to re-enter the job market. And after each expo, as I said earlier, we will be leaving the presentations on the website for everyone to be able to see. What we do is during the time when each of the employers make their presentations, in the chat room, people are able to ask questions, and we really were able to answer almost everything and assist people with re-entering the job market.
That's right. What do you find people need most? What are the services they're most craving right now?
As far as employment?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so we did do a survey because I wanted to have feedback from all of those who participated. And most people are looking for remote, which isn't a surprise, remote employment. A lot of the people told us they were completely unemployed. They were looking for part-time, not necessarily full-time, but remote jobs that could assist them. And we tell this to each of the employers, and then they were able to relate to the job seekers what jobs were available. Now, understandably, not every company is hiring just like they did pre-COVID, and this is so in flux that it changes almost on a dime. So jobs that could be available today may not be available in a week, but that's why we leave all of these contact informations on the website so people can continuously check and see what's available.
That's great. You also have, besides these expos, you have ongoing programs to support people. One of them is called the Career Gateway. Can you tell us a little bit about that program?
Yes, the Career Gateway program is a job search training program for people who are 50 plus. And this is also done remotely, visual. We did it online. We were able to transition that program. And it helps you search for employment. It assists you with not only having a mentor to help you search and resume reviewing and talking about, it's a new world interviewing with people on Zoom. So not sure what my background looks like here, but telling you how to approach it, what kind of Zoom etiquette you need, what kind of connectivity you need. It is a 30-hour class with a small group of people that's very interactive so that people get to know each other. And that website is also, should be posted so that the Career Gateway manager is Jody Rash. All of this information not only will be posted today for you, but it's also on the JCA website, www.accessjca.org. And there are different sessions all throughout the year. We have one going on. The next one will be in January, and then March, then April, then June. And we thank the county for being so kind to us to allow us to continue this almost, year round.
So people should just really be checking your website regularly.
Correct.
So they can not only tap into the next dates, but the resources that you're keeping online. And it sounds like you're offering great opportunities, especially for those who are currently unemployed, to just hone their skills, continuing to develop their skills, to look at their resume several times over, to look at their LinkedIn in a new way and get themselves to really be competitive. So that's great.
And this is a wonderful way of networking. And because each individual in the Career Gateway class is given a mentor, it's very different now, the way somebody is doing a resume and presenting themselves and branding themselves. And so we try to give as many, as you said, resources and to hone their skills. Sometimes just your volunteer skills are really needed now in a remote paid employment.
Yeah, it's a brand new world. It's really a brand new world. So let's make sure that we're giving everybody the website and phone number, any direct lines as quickly as we can so that they can tap into your resources and make sure they're keeping up with your next training sessions.
Well, everything, as I said, is on our website, www.accessjca.org. And then if you look under news and events and under employment, there's specific sites for each one, for the expos. And each time people need to register for each expo. And for Career Gateway, we also have a CSEP program, Senior Community Service Employment Program. This is for seniors in Montgomery County and Frederick County who are at 125% of poverty level. And it's a three-pronged program. We help these interns get jobs, and we place them in nonprofits and government agencies.
Wonderful. Micki, you are a font of information. I wish we had more time, but thank you so much for letting us know about the amazing services you're providing during COVID for those 50 plus looking for employment. And we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are loved. You are valued. You are resilient. You got this.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? But now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Home fire drills give your family a plan of action. In a home fire, you may have less than 2 minutes to get out. So when you drill, show everyone 2 ways out of the house, pick a safe meeting spot, and get there in under 2 minutes. Then practice home fire drills at least twice a year. You can even make them fun. So everyone knows the sound and exactly what to do when they hear a smoke alarm. Go to ready.gov/fire drill and learn how to prepare your family for home fires.
At any age, a medical crisis could leave you too ill to make your own healthcare decisions. Advanced Care Planning offers the gift of peace of mind for you and your loved ones when critical decisions must be made and you can't speak for yourself. Here to talk about why every adult should have the conversation is Advanced Care Planning expert Jane Markley. Hi, Jane. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, I would imagine that with COVID, there's even more urgency than ever for people to be taking care of advanced directives.
You're absolutely right, Amy. the COVID has increased people's awareness as to the importance of having their advance directives and identifying what it is that's important to them, so that if they should get COVID and end up in a hospital, they have an advance directive that they can share with the healthcare team at the hospital, and their families will also know what it is that they want, so that although they can't be with them, they can communicate to the healthcare workers what kind of care that they would have wanted.
And it's showing that, you know, I think a lot of people think advance directives are only for older adults, but really this is proving that this is for everyone needs to be thinking about this.
Sure. An advance directive is something that everyone age 18 and above should have. They should have that conversation with their loved ones about what's important to them. What kind of care would they want to receive? And what kind of values and beliefs do they have that may portend what kind of care they would want?
And let's talk about advance directives. What does that even mean? What are people needing to do, fill out?
Okay, it's not just the document, it's the conversation along with the document. And that's important for people to know. For many years, people have just checked boxes and said, oh, I got the document done, I never have to deal with this ever again. And that's not the case. This is an ongoing activity. This is something that you need to build into your communications with your loved ones. What's important to you? Yes, an advance directive is the document, and it's the way we can pass the information along to others. But an advance directive includes two things. One, it includes really three things. First, it includes that conversation that I'm talking about, where you talk with your loved ones about what's important. And then it is your living will, i.e. what kind of care you would like to receive. And most importantly is the durable power of attorney for health care, as different from the durable power of attorney for finance, where you name your healthcare agent, who is the person who will be able to speak for you legally if you can no longer speak for yourself.
And talk a little bit about that conversation. What might it look like? Because I'm sure many people are uncomfortable having the conversation.
A lot of people are uncomfortable. That's usually the sticking point of doing this. But conversations can be brought up under a lot of terms. We watch famous people who die or get ill and don't have any advance directive, and we hear about it and we see it. It's a perfect opportunity to bring it up in your family, to say, well, gee, you know, they didn't have it and that really caused a lot of problems. How are we going to deal with this? What is it we're going to do? Once you as an individual have decided that you want to do your advance directive, it's great to bring your family in and talk to them. You need their help. Go to them and say, I really could use your help in talking through this. You need to know what is important to me, so that if for some reason I end up in the hospital, and you're right, it's not just for seniors, it's not just for people with horrible diseases, it's for every one of us. Anyone who goes out on the roadways in this day and age takes the risk of not coming home that night and needing health care somewhere outside of the home. And so it's important that everyone have this. It's particularly important for the 18-year-old group too. So if folks have got children and grandchildren, having their plans in place and shared with the rest of the family can be extremely important.
And you've said something that really has stuck with me, which is not today, but I think a previous conversation, really stuck with me, that for those of us who are over 55 plus, that you're saying that it's as much for our children as it is for us, and maybe even more so. Say a little bit more about why it's so important for them.
Well, it's so important because Americans used to talk about this over the dinner table, because people used to die at home. People used to die and then be laid out in the parlor for everyone to come around for a wake or whatever. And we don't do that anymore. We've pushed it away into hospitals and nursing homes and places where people don't have the opportunity to talk to their loved ones and be around their loved ones. So having that conversation is not that easy to start sometimes, because it isn't familiar to us. But having that conversation with the younger population is important, because nowadays, because people are aging and living so long, they are surviving longer sometimes than their own children. And that's where it becomes extremely important, because if you've not had the conversation, you don't know what kind of care that they would want towards the end, or if something untoward occurred to them, what we call the crisis occurs.
And I would also imagine that it's just important, you're making it easier for your children by not, in the middle of a crisis, having them have to first think about these things. Like, you're taking a big burden off of them.
Absolutely. And in fact, that burden we have been researching for over 20 years now. And those people who die, the family members of the people who die without an advance directive, in other words, the family had to guess what to do and hope they were doing the right thing for mom or dad, those people 5, 10, 15, 20 years later are still having psychological problems related to the fact that they didn't know.
Wow.
And they weren't able to say, yes, this is what mom wanted, so let's go down this path. They were guessing. And the problem is, they will never know if they did the right thing, because it's too late. It isn't too late until it is. And when it is, it really is too late. So it's important that the conversations occur early and often.
That's great. Is there a good resource for people to find out more information if from this conversation they're eager to have the conversation, begin a conversation, and also see what they need to fill out?
Yes, there are numbers of resources out there. I think probably the prime one I refer most people to is what's called The Conversation Project. And that's one place. You can go to my website and find all these resources as well. And I'm more than happy to help anybody work through the process of facilitating those conversations with they and their loved ones.
What's that address?
My website is www.mjmarkley.com, just my name. And that will bring you up to my website, where you'll get more information there.
Terrific. That's great. Well, Jane, thank you so much for coming on today to talk about this really important, critically important, really timely topic. And we look forward to speaking with you again under better circumstances, for sure.
Absolutely.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual, and she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you, and we'll figure it out."
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now anything but lonely.
We had this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure love.
The pandemic has made it very challenging for those financially burdened older adults who are renting in Montgomery County. Today, we welcome Frank Demarais, Deputy Director, Affordable Housing for the Department of Housing and Community Affairs, who will share some of the challenges, but also some of the available resources to older adults who are renting in the county. Thank you so much for joining us today, Frank.
Well, thank you, Amy.
So what are the most immediate issues and concerns for older renters, particularly low-income older renters?
Concerns are the shared concerns of all of our rental community, which is that with the pandemic, with the income loss and the higher costs that people have experienced, they're having trouble maintaining their rent. And we believe that as many as 20,000 county residents are having trouble maintaining or behind on their rent, and that we need to continue to support them, understanding what their options are, and helping them to avoid falling further behind and facing eviction.
And it's particularly bad during this COVID crisis. I understand that there's been a moratorium on evictions. Can you say a little bit more about what's been going on in this landscape?
With the COVID emergency declared by the governor in March, the governor implemented a restriction on evictions for any household that could demonstrate that they'd had income loss due to COVID impact, either loss of job or higher costs or requirements for childcare. And this is a eviction prevention when you go to court. So it is a case specific action, not much you can do before you get called to court on that. But across the county, we have a variety of resources, including rental assistance payments are available. And it's critical for anyone with concerns about this to understand the county and the state have stepped up using generally federal money to make financial assistance and counseling available to any tenant that has any concerns, whether or not it's eviction related.
And what happens if someone is called to court? I mean, that sounds very intimidating to the average person. How are they helped in the process?
Well, the fundamentals are anyone who is 1 month behind on their rent can be summoned. The landlord can sue to possess the property. If anyone receives a notice of a summons, a notice of court appointment, there's 3 things that they should do. First, they should contact the county, our Office of Landlord Tenant Affairs, and or the nonprofits and Maryland Legal Aid that are available to help them understand that. They need to understand the process. Then they need to prepare, and they absolutely should understand these protections available against eviction if you can demonstrate income loss, but only if you can demonstrate income loss. And then the key thing is to show up at court. And the court will hear different arguments and defenses that cannot be made unless the person shows up. But it's very important to know what your options are and be prepared, and then to attend. It can be very scary, but the more you learn early, the better off you'll be able to handle it.
Absolutely. What if people can't demonstrate that they lost income, but they have under hardship? What do they do?
The protections that are available are from the governor's executive order, very specifically demonstrated income loss. If someone has not had a demonstrated income loss in the COVID emergency period, then the counseling, Maryland Legal Aid will help them understand how to work with their landlord. We do have financial assistance that could help to bridge some of the gap. We're hoping that our landlords are entering into payment agreements and working with their tenants. In this period, landlords do not want to evict. It's very costly, and they end up with a vacant unit at a very difficult time. So there are ways to work with your landlord, but the eviction prevention is only there if you have a loss of income from COVID. It also does not protect if your lease expires. And if you get a notice to vacate, 60 days notice to vacate at the expiration of your lease, and you're unable to leave, the landlord can sue for tenant holding over action, and evictions are occurring for tenants who are unable to relocate. So it's a difficult time with the best information, again, available through the county's website and through our Office of Landlord Tenant Affairs. And during COVID, the county is absolutely open to support. We've extended additional funds for nonprofits, Maryland Legal Aid, and others to really support. But it's a very difficult path to navigate.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your nonprofit partners. Who do you work with, and how can the general public tap in?
The best resource right now is our county website, montgomerycountymd.gov/renters. So montgomerycountymd.gov/renters has a list of all the organizations that are supporting tenants. We have the Renters Alliance, Housing Initiative Partnership, Latino Economic Development Corp., the CASA organization, the Maryland Legal Aid. And Maryland Legal Aid is available at the courthouse and does represent anyone who has an emergency eviction action against them.
What do we most want to communicate to people, Frank, during this time for those people that are without a job right now or falling behind? What should they know?
Well, again, the very, very important first step is to get information. And our website's a good place to go. The 311 General County Information Line. Anyone with rent concerns can call 311, ask for information about rental assistance, ask for landlord-tenant affairs. If they have an emergency, they can ask for housing stabilization at 311. They should get information. They should know that they're not alone. They should know there is a process. There are rules and structures and things that landlords have to do. You cannot be evicted without a court order. Your landlord can write you all kinds of letters, but until the court order says that you will be evicted, you are protected. The county has funds available to help offset some of this. And in the event that people are going to lose their homes, the county does have support to help people transition and relocate. So our focus is first, stop the evictions, work with the landlords, work something out. And secondly, to assist households, help people understand, when they have to or when they need to relocate, what kind of assistance is available from the county.
Terrific. Any other final words? Do we think this moratorium will hold as COVID is still here for the foreseeable future?
As long as the governor has a state of emergency, and we have no indications that that's going to be lifted in the next 2 or 3 months, this governor's protection for failure to pay rent evictions will remain. But the day he lists that eviction, anyone who had gone through court and received protection will lose that protection all at once. So there's a lot of concern about that, but it will take some time. Anyone who heard about the federal protection that was issued by the CDC, that is no longer a factor in Maryland. The courts actually are not hearing failure to pay rent cases in the month of December through the end of December. So there are no judgments being issued until cases are restarted in January. It will take some time for them to catch up. They had this shut down earlier this year, reopened at the end of August, and then shut down again in the middle of November. So there's a time for our tenants to understand their rights, prepare, and particularly to work with the landlord, work with our nonprofits to help with counseling, workout plans. There's not going to be enough money to pay everybody's rent, but there are ways to work through this.
Terrific. Well, Frank, thank you so much. I think you have given really important information for a lot of people out there. And thank you for joining us today. And that's it for Seniors Today. You can access a lot of information for seniors by going to our senior website at montgomerycountymd.gov/seniors, or you can call the Senior Resource Line at 240-777-3000. Thanks so much for joining us on Seniors Today.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.